In the past, the demon Lord Varvatos tires of his current life as he's become so powerful that no one sees him as human. Hence, he planned to have someone defeat him to prove his human nature once again, but there is no person strong enough to accomplish that feat. Therefore, his final option is to perform reincarnation magic. In the present time, it's the 10th birthday of Varvatos's new life as Ard Meteor, who was born to a couple of average normal people. Within those current times, the study of magic has declined, however. On the plus side, his body is quite athletic, giving him good strength and psychical capabilities. When asked by his parents what he hopes to achieve in his life, Ard internally thinks that he wants to forge a friendship of equals with someone. This plan of his, however, fails when he tries to befriend a group of boys and then some girls, but both times, he fails to befriend any of them. Ard would later vent out his anger by destroying the forest by his house, and when he stops to take a rest by the doorstep of his house, he's visited by the mayor, Olhide. From him, Ard learns that the best way to make friends is to be kind and respectful. Pumped with energy, Ard follows Olhide's advice, and once again, he fails to make an impression to make any friends with his peers. Venting out his anger against the monsters in the forest, Ard hears the voice of a young girl in distress. Flying to the location where the voice originated from, Ard sees a young elf girl fighting an ancient wolf. Upon his inspection, Ard believed the girl to simply be venting her anger against the beast. Back at Ard's home, Olhide is served tea by Ard's parents as he talks about how his daughter has been acting withdrawn due to the bullying and gossip. Back to the girl, she turns the wolf into ash with a magic spell, and Ard believes the girl to be Lydia. Spotted by the girl, Ard tries to strike up a conversation with her, but his attempts of praising or critiquing her as a way of complimenting her fail. This leads Ard to simply ask to be her friend, which the girl tearfully rejects and runs away. Back at Ard's house, Olhide says goodbye to Ard's parents, and the girl who turns out to be the daughter of the mayor, Irina, embraces her father. As she tells him how she hates the countryside, Ard returns as well and says that he followed Olhide's advice, but failed. The two would then encounter each other once more, which would lead to a series of Ard trying to befriend Irina, but failing each time. Eventually, a large group of monsters consisting of goblins invades the town. While fending off the monsters, Jack, Ard's father, informs Ard that due to a malfunctioning dungeon core, the monsters invaded the town. As it so happens, Olhide informs the two that Irina had gone into the mountains earlier that afternoon, and Ard blames himself for being too cordial with her. Flying off, Ard finds Irina surrounded by a pack of goblins led by a hobgoblin. Right as Irina was resigned to her fate, Ard arrives and eliminates the goblins with a couple of spells, and then finishes off the remaining two goblins and hobgoblin. Jack, now accompanied by his wife Carla, is shown to have defeated all of the goblins in the town. Although Jack is worried about Irina, Olhide is not, and claims that his daughter will be fine. Back to Ard and Irina, the two reconcile with each other, and Irina finally accepts Ard's friendship. Years into the future, Irina surprises Ard by getting in bed with him, and suggests that they enroll in the Academy of Magic together. Ard and Irina both meet with Headmaster Golda of the Laville National Academy of Magic. Gold cordially introduces himself to the two as headmaster of the academy, and notes their lineage as the children of national heroes. Because of the feat that Ard accomplished in his childhood, he was exempt from the practical entrance exam for the senior division, but is requested to still take the written part. Vowing to do his best in that part, Ard later finds out that he academically failed the exam. However, in other terms, as said by Goldie, his answers far surpassed those that have been hypothesized. In other words, the answers that Ard gave have greatly improved the modern-day magic techniques. It's then that Goldie announces to the students surrounding the area of Ard's genius, but also how he's the son of the legendary mage Jack and warrior Carla, who once slew the evil god Diceus. The announcement bewilders Ard as he's being put on the spot, and an elusive figure watches the scene as it plays out from the shadows. Later, Ard and Irina talk about their parents' past accomplishments while walking down a hallway. Upon entering their classroom, they're both confronted by most of their student peers who ask to be friends with them. Aside from those students, there was a small handful that did not show the same respect, and they then witness a young succubus be bullied by a noble student. Irina intervenes, and the bully introduces himself as Elrado, and the house that he belongs to, and justifies his actions by claiming the girl belongs to a house that serves under his. Hence, she's his servant by default. Ard then steps in and demands that the girl be treated fairly, and that he apologize to her. This leads to Elrado proposing a duel between them to settle the matter, and Irina then recognizes Elrado as someone who accomplished becoming a mage square at a young age. As Elrado boasts about his lineage, Olivia arrives at the scene and demands to know if Ard was the central cause of the scene. Sheepishly, Ard confesses that he was, and internally hopes that Olivia doesn't recognize him as the reincarnation of Varvatos. During his brief conversation with Olivia, she permits the duel to happen between El Rado and him. Later outside, Ard contemplates how he'd fight against El Rado without Olivia catching on to his identity. The duel then starts with El Rado hitting Ard with a bunch of different types of flare spells, but Ard counters them all with barriers. In the end, Ard wins the duel with his own Giga Flare spell. After Irina forces El Rado to hold up to his end of the bargain, she also assures the girl to seek her or Ard if she's ever in trouble again. Olivia then chimes in, which irks Ard, and she asks him about how he was able to duo cast 2 spells amid the fight. Flustered, Ard gives a haphazard excuse as to why, but is told that what's called double casting was a lost skill in the modern age and common sense at that. Despite her apprehensive approach toward Ard, Olivia backs off, but claims that she'll get her answer soon enough. The following day, Olivia starts to officially teach the class and breaks the students into groups. Seeing that the girl was by her lonesome, Irina asks Ard to have her join there, and he agrees. Irina then invites the girl to join them. She agrees and introduces herself as Ginny Fin de Salvan. At the site of the class assignment, Olivia instructs the students to go to the dungeon's 3rd floor and hunt and skin a black wolf. Turning her attention to Ard's party, she asks Ard if it'll be a cinch for someone like him. Once again flustered by Olivia, Ard pushes his group away from the scene. Eventually, the group encounters a pack of black wolves, and Irina and Ard deal with them with a flare spell. This, however, turned out to be rather problematic for them, as the wolves' remains turned out to be too charred to skin. Feeling self-conscious about her dependability to contribute to the team, Ginny apologizes for being useless and how El Rado berates her for her incompetence. To help Ginny gain some confidence, Ard offers Ginny some personal magic lessons. Despite her hesitance, Ginny ultimately agrees to the offer and they immediately start, but Ginny fails to compare with Ard's magical skill. Although Ard tries to cheer Ginny up, her self-confidence was destroyed by the harassment she experienced by El Rado and his cohorts. So, Ard then displays a new kind of magic that he created called script magic, and then proceeds to teach it to both Irina and Ginny. Soon, Ginny is shown to have mastered the magical technique, and then the trio falls into a trap door, leading them to a level where they encounter a minotaur. Taking advantage of the situation, Ard uses the encounter as a way to further teach the two about script magic, and allows a mentally reborn Ginny to defeat the monster. Back on the surface, the group turn in the horns of the minotaur they defeated, and although it's said that script magic was used to defeat it, Ard denies the fact. El Rado then berates Ard for what he considers relaying on the girls too much, and Ginny speaks in Ard's defense and then smacks him aside, while Irina also humiliates him by putting a basket of black wolf pelt over his head. Amused by what happened, Ard tries to leave only to be stopped by Olivia, who wants to have a nice long chat with him. Goldie with Olivia asks Ard to participate in the student battle event that the Queen will be in attendance, but Ard flatly refuses. Trying to coax Ard into reconsidering, Goldie mentions that the event is an opportunity for the school to get a bigger budget. Ard then voices his reason as to why he refuses, as it goes against his aesthetics. Olivia then mentions that she once had a younger brother of the sort that said the same thing, and he reincarnated without her consent. So Ard claims he'll think the offer over and later contemplates the consequences of refusing the offer. Just then, Ginny approaches Ard and asks to go on a date with her. Considering the offer, Ard accepts it and asks that she drop the Mr. when she addresses her, but she refuses, so Ard proposes she call him Artie instead, and she agrees. Just then, Irina barges into the scene and wants to be a part of the date, and Ginny happily accepts, noting she doesn't want to monopolize Ard. Ginny also suggests that Ard start his own harem, and Irina has no clue what that is, so Ginny informs her, and upon learning of it, flatly rejects the idea. Afterward, the group goes on their date together in the town and starts things off by watching a play. The play was a recount of the former demon Lord Varvatos, and during it, both Ginny and Lydia embrace Ard, while Ard is left perplexed by the interpretation of his former life. After the play, Ginny leads the group to a place to eat and en route to their destination. Ard overhears a group of cloaked individuals talking about the Queen. It's then decided that they'd all tail the group of people and they follow them into the sewers, where they find the group standing in front of a giant circle. Right as Ard claims that he understands the situation, they're accosted from behind by more of the group, which is revealed to have been a trap to capture them. Ard gives a deduction that it's the cloaked group's goal to capture them all, but the leader activates the magical circle, setting Ard ablaze, prompting him to correct Ard's analysis. However, Ard is unscathed from the fire and destroys the circle with his own spell, and then proceeds to take out the remaining men, with the exception of the leader. Left with no other alternatives, the leader transforms into his true demon form and casts Lightning Burst to create a hole in the ceiling to escape. Ard pursues him, and on the surface, the demon takes a little girl hostage, which causes a panic among the people in the surrounding area. However, Ard assures the people with his name and the name of his father, Jack Meteor, that all will be fine, and that the hostage the demon had was an illusion. The demon is then finished off with the spell, Flash of Babel, and in the aftermath, Ard is raised in the air for his accomplishment. The following day, Ard, Irina, and Ginny meet with Queen Rosa, and Irina is shown to be acquainted with her. Rosa then offers to marry Ard, but this proposal is shot down, and henceforth Ard is promoted to Pentagon class. However, Ard instead asks that the budget be increased for his academy instead. But the Queen is intrigued by Ard's humility, and grants both title and budget to Ard and Irina, while appointing them both to the Queen's shadow. Ginny is also granted the Triangle class as well. Meanwhile, more of the cloaked figures discuss the previous failure they launched against Ard, but are confident they'll accomplish their true goal regardless. Ard is confessed to by a female student who he politely declines her request and suggests that they be friends instead. However, the student tries to seduce him, but is stopped by the presence of Irina. In his office, Gold informs instructor Jessica about Ard's refusal to partake in the upcoming battle event. Furthermore, he was rejected by the other teachers there to be able to teach there as well, and Jessica assures Goldie to leave it in her hands. That night, Ard contemplates Irina on his bed and is visited by Ginny, who is dressed in a light skirt. She herself then tries to seduce Ard, and Irina, who was still upset about earlier that day, sits on and her bed in her room. She then decides to visit Ard in his room, but walks in at the moment Ginny tries to make a move on Ard. Irina then throws various objects at Ard in contempt of what he was about to do. Ginny then steps in to stop Irina from what she was doing, and learns Irina's motives for being there, and that she blames her for all of the women going after Ard. This leads to a contentious argument between the two, which ends in a proposed duel between the two, but Ard stops and scolds them, having the two sit down and apologize to each other. Right before they shake hands and make up with each other, Jessica barges into the room and proposes to settle their differences in the upcoming battle event. It's also mentioned that it'd also be an optimal opportunity for Ard to become an instructor at the academy. Initially, the two are hesitant to accept the offer due to Ard's advice, but are convinced by Jessica mentioning the uniforms instructors get to wear. On the day of the battle event, Baron Weiss, Jack, and Carla are shown to be special guest commentators. While commentary from Weiss is polite and a matter of fact, Jack and Carla's beg and extreme differ. Ard, who is distraught by his parents' commentary, then talks with Olivia, who mentions that Alvarto would be interested in teaching the two combatants. However, Ard has no clue as to who Alvarto is, which Olivia seems to believe. Meanwhile, Irina is called to the arena after the current match concluded. When the match starts, Irina has trouble countering her opponent's spells, but by using the script magic she learned from Ard, she manages to defeat her opponent. The fights continue on, and at the finals, it's Ginny versus Irina. When the head commentator asked for Weiss's opinion on the matter, he claims that he believes Irina made it that far due to Ard's influence. The match then begins, and before Ginny and Irina are able to make a move against each other, demons reveal themselves within the audience and wreak havoc around the Colosseum. As Jessica informs Ard and Olivia, the demons are also targeting the outside of the arena as well. Down in the arena area, Ginny and Irina manage to take out the demons that attack them, but have trouble with the crystal golem that was formulated by them. Weiss uses his magic to destroy the golem, but is then impaled by Jessica's hand, who then reveals herself as Elzard, the frenzied king of dragons. After she demands that Irina come with her quietly, Ginny attacks Elzard. However, her magic spells are blocked by Elzard's barrier. She then KOs Ginny, and when Irina surrenders, Elzard grabs Irina and flies her out of the arena. Weiss is healed in the school infirmary by Ard. When Weiss awakens, he reveals that Irina was taken by Elzard, the frenzied dragon. Ard reassures them all that he'll rescue Irina from Elzard and any other force that would stand in his way. In response to this, Weiss allows Ard full access to the royal treasury anytime he wants. Also under Jack's recommendation, he suggests that Weiss reveal the truth to Ard about their background, which had Irina withdrawn for so long. However, he's still hesitant to do so due to the circumstances behind them. Irina has a dream where she's a child again and reveals to Ard who she really is, and he disappears, leaving her all alone. Awakening from this dream, Irina learns that her hands are bound by a red, transparent magic orb and is encased with a magical tube. Elzard then appears and reveals that Irina needs to act as a sacrifice for the Orphan of Chaos so she can summon a bunch of other world evil gods to the realm. All because she wants to ruin and destroy the world as she sees fit. Although Irina claims that Ard will rescue her, Elzard claims that if he were to learn her secret, he'd abandon her. The comment corroborates the dream that Elzard had, and she's then prepared to be sacrificed to the Orphan of Chaos. Prepared to rescue Irina, Ard is approached by Ginny, who wants to come along and help. However, Ard asks Ginny to prepare dinner for when he returns with Irina. He then sets off to Irina's location, who is about to be eaten by the Orphan of Chaos, but is slain by Ard before it could do so. Hovering in the sky, Ard lands on the ground and vows to eliminate all of the creatures there. Using a 9 cast, Ard eliminates all of the monsters and frees Irina from her captor as Elzard hovers in the sky, witnessing everything from above. Amused by the turn of events, Elzard reveals that Irina's surname Alahide is fake, and that her real one is Laville, and she carries the blood of the evil gods. Back at Weiss's manor, Weiss talks with Jack about how his family are the true rulers of the country and how the ones instated are proxies. Back to Elzard to laugh about the revelation she just told to Ard. He doesn't care one bit about it. In light of this, Elzard casts a lightning spell against Ard, who nullifies it with his spear, and despite seemingly defeating her when Ard launches his spear into her, causing Elzard to explode. As it turns out, Elzard was still alive and fully transformed into her full dragon form. She then breathes a purple laser spell against Ard, who defends against it with his magical barrier. After asking Irina to look away, Ard casts a spell that summons a golden lady who recasts a gold-colored magical barrier. The lady, as it turns out, was Lydia Beginsgate, and under Weiss's command, transforms into a broad sword that is used to help him during the first phase of the battle. Within the second phase of the battle, Ard has Lydia equip new armor for him and changes hair color to a silver-white color. Casting the spell, Ultimum Zero, Ard defeats Elzard, and after the battle, Irina praises Ard and resolves herself to become stronger.